27.
Recommend
January
approval.
31 Selectmen's meeting.
Roll call? No, we don't need roll call.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, police department use of the town hall for training April 12th and 11th and 12th.
Recommend approval. Second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Sports run, sunset, road race, August.
Well, they're getting this in early, aren't they?
Hmm?
Is this early for them?
No, they usually, do it at the beginning of the year to
Are
look
they?
at the date,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second that.
Discussion, all in favor? All right,
Aye.
go to the agenda. Brandon, welcome.
Hi. How's
I've
everybody
given
doing?
the
Good.
board your packet with all the information.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys, having me on the agenda.
We'll work together. Okay,
Brendan, I think what we wanna do is run your numbers by, John Krebs, our town planner, and also Eric, Weinrib, our town engineer. Oh, there's John sits right there. And then, if those numbers make sense to them, then I think we'll have a better understanding, of that. But conceptually, I think all of us agree that, you know, as you complete construction, we can phase down the bond. It's just the numbers that you presented, I mean, we don't know those, so we wanna get a professional opinion from John and.
I might be able to save you some time, I can tell you, it's already been done. So what happens is, just so you guys, is it okay that I speak to it?
yeah,
I'm
please.
sorry.
Yeah, no,
The way this thing works is that there's, an engineering, standard for all these costs. And I believe, Brandon's, I was thinking, Brandon's engineer, civil works, put that together, our engineer reviewed it and approved it. And then, I believe Brandon went out and got a bid to build the road, which was, I think, about $150,000 less than the RS means, engineering calculation. There are some things in your bid, I think the 375 that aren't included, like monumentation of the lots afterwards, as built, stuff that's, I don't know, $10,000, 15, small stuff. And you didn't ask me for my opinion, but if you want me to share it.
Oh, I do.
I know Brandon has been working hard to get this thing approved and get this thing recorded and get.
We all have, in fairness.
Yeah, we all have.
Not just.
I did talk to Dennis about this because, the Acreleys are providing cash. What I was going to suggest is that you assume that the road is 525. But they'll post the 350 or whatever you guys agree to, at 375, and then don't draw it down until you get below the 375. That might be I don't know if that's acceptable to them, but I can tell you that there's gonna be, the engineering estimate is going to be a lot higher than the actual, cost that he got. And I don't think there's any way we can.
Yeah, this is nothing about anybody, it's only about protecting the town, that's the biggest thing, and butters, let's say, and it's not necessarily Brandon, that's the issue, or the Acreleys, and I've done this all the time, my whole life I've done it. The RS means is a standard by which they go by that's established based on the previous year's cost of doing business, and it's usually very accurate, and something that they have to update annually. And it's one of these things that if something were to happen, that say the developer he has, the guy who's not developer but the contractor, the road guy, road construction crew, they go bankrupt or decide they're just walking away from it because there's no money in it. They bid it wrong. We are then left with picking up the pieces and trying to find somebody to do the work. Excuse me for a second, I'm just gasping for air under this mess. So we have to, the town then has to pick it up and make it right. For whatever reason, if it falls back onto the town, that's what we're looking to do. So with the cash in hand, we can then go out and find somebody to do the work. Now, on top of someone else coming in to do the work, nobody else likes to pick up someone else's mess.
Yeah.
The cost is gonna be higher.
Absolutely.
So it's about protecting the abutters, because in this case, there are abutters involved with their driveways going away. And it's about protecting the town, and it's nothing about the credibility of anybody, or ill intent, or whatever, it's just about making sure that we, the town, doesn't have that liability. And that's what the planning board always does, we set what the standard should be, and that's what we then hand it off and say, this is what you have to do based on our engineering experience, and then we hand it to the selectmen and say, this is what it's gotta be, and that's how it goes, and that's what we've always done. So I don't wanna start changing the process about doing that, because I think we're gonna start going down like, who's got the job? So what I recommend to you is, as John maybe has said, is either we come up, there's two ways of doing it. One is we come up with the cash that he puts down, plus an additional amount on a bond, the remainder on the bond, which I don't recommend. And then the second one would be to put down what he's talking about, after review from Eric Weinreb, and say, all right, you have, if they wanna put down, was it we put down, Brandon, 375?
The estimate is 520.
But you went to
your
375.
contractor.
The contractor says 375, yeah.
So it's 375, and if you rounded it up a little bit, say 400, kept it at 400 cash, and then when we get down to, say below, say the 350 or the 375, keeping a little bit ahead of the contractor, that we start then reimbursing the money. But we've never done that before, so just wanna be, make sure, but it's always based on this RS means, which is a professional engineering standard, and it's based on the locality, it's not based on Washington DC or California price. Each locality has its own, standard, so, just to protect the town, I think that's what we need to do, and it's what we've always done. So, and again, there's nothing about Brandon or the Akeley's, they're great people, it's just if their contractor goes out of business, and funny things happen when there's a lot of money involved, and we just don't wanna be holding that up, cause we have to make it right. If the driveways get ripped up, road gets ripped up, and the butters that are there, are suddenly left with a mess, they're gonna say, what are you gonna do, town? So, that's my pitch.
Just add one thing, because we're missing one factor in there, Dennis, in your explanation is, driveways get ripped up, the roads get ripped up, there's abutters, it's still the burden of the Akerleys and myself to get a crew in there, it's not the burden of the town immediately to say, well, we'll go find another contractor to do this, that's not the case. The only time the town would step in is if we said, we're out of options, there's no more money, we ain't doing it, right?
That happened already once in this town. I don't wanna see it happen again. And
But is your assumption, Dennis, not to interrupt you, that if our one contractor said, hey, I'm out on this project, that the town would supersede the Akerleys and assigning somebody else to work?
No, we would ask you to go find somebody first, but then if you said, well, no, I've already paid this guy to do the work, and then the lawyers started getting involved, the best thing to do is have a bond or cash surety to make sure that this is gonna get done right. But we've already had this happen once in town. The people who developed those lots, lost everything, it was their retirement, and they had no intention of doing that, but they did. But then the banks took it over, and it became a real big mess. So it has nothing to do with, it's all about making sure that we have everything in place and doing it the correct way, the way we've always done it. It's nothing personal.
Well, here's what I've asked for, which in the letter to the selectmen and the town is, we'll pay the entire thing up front, okay? When there's only the top coat to be finished, because that should take 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever it is, in order to get to that phase, the town reimburse us the money that's over, less the top coat. We're not saying we don't want to give the cash up front, or there's no surety. We're simply saying, we don't want the town to hang on to $150,000 of overpayment for the 16 months it takes us to put a top coat on the road.
No, there's typically what they call a maintenance bond after you have the road that's built. There's another bond on top of what you're already paying for construction, which I don't even think, it sounds like you're not even aware of that yet.
Well, nope, but I will say that would be unique, being that it's a private road on private property, to put a maintenance bond on top of it to keep a
Brandon,
private road up.
That's what we do.
How long does that?
What is it, John?
3 years.
3 years?
Can I ask a question, Dennis? We were dealing with the property over here on this, development behind the town. We hadn't had a bond on it. Well, it would have been when the, gentleman was doing the project, what would be then? I know it was a headache for the planning board at the time, and I'm not talking about personalities here, because I got friends in the room here. I'm just saying, this is what cost the town a lot of aggravation.
It was a lot of aggravation.
Yeah, and that's what I'm concerned about. I don't wanna get into one of those, because then everybody
So-
becomes enemies, and there's no need of that.
So let me say something about private roads.
Yeah.
They are saying they wanna keep it as a private road, but every road we develop in this town is a private road until the town accepts it. And that's
Right.
usually 3 or 4 years into the process.
Right.
And that's how long it goes, so, it's just the way we normally do business. It's not this is not, like we're picking on the Acrelease or Brandon. It's about protecting the town and making sure everything is done correctly. Because even though after it's built, you say you want it private, it's probably happened before. They have every right to step forward to you immediately upon saying, we want the town to accept it. So, I wanna do everything I can to help, and I think what John just said, and what I reiterated was, probably the best thing you do is you put that money up front, but we just don't pay it down until we get well below, some point below that threshold, by which we then start repaying. But then we get into, and we haven't even discussed the maintenance bond that goes on for 3 years after. So that's another whole discussion, but all roads are private until the town accepts it, and that's usually 3 to 4 years into the process with a maintenance bond. If we wanna change, this is not the time to be talking about it, wish we had all this discussed, earlier. John, you agree with anything or disagree?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the reality is, you know, if, and I don't even know who the Acrelease have hired to build this road, but if after 3 weeks they walk from the job, the town's not gonna build the road. All you're gonna do is reclaim the site and walk away, if they don't have enough money to finish it. So, again, the only time that you'd ever finish that road is if they're 70% done and something happens, then you might finish it. But,
That's correct.
you know, generally, it's just to reclaim the site but again, you know, I haven't, these occurrences are pretty rare, especially in this situation where, you know, I don't think any lots are being sold. I think it's all family. And that's a short road. I'm assuming it's gonna be I don't know, 6-week job, 8-week job. It's gonna be a quick one. So I think that, I did talk to Eric about it, and he said if that's the way the town wants to go, he would be fine with it. But I think you just draw it down in the RS mean schedule, and they would just have that bond amount. So I think it's a fair solution.
I think I understand, John, what you mean by draw down, and so talking just in the numbers part of it, so what gets sent to the town immediately for the condition, and then what happens after that?
So I don't really think it matters in this case, Brandon, because that road is gonna happen so quickly that money's gonna get drawn down. But what I was gonna suggest is that we use the RS means estimate for the drawdown. But obviously, so we're at 5.25, they're gonna give us 375, so there's $150,000 disparity. So there won't be any drawdowns till we get down to below 375. Again, it's not gonna matter, because you're gonna build that road so quickly that it's not like we're holding the money for 2 years. It's gonna be a matter of 2 months, right?
Right.
So I think that, that's what I was gonna propose, is that we draw it down the RS means, but you give us the 375, or whatever the selectmen.
When it gets down to the last part of the landscaping and the lawn planting and all of the, let's say the top coat, which you usually wait at least 1 full year, there's a standard we have, I think it's 1 year.
Well, we haven't.
Including 1 full winter, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at what that, that costs, so if it's gonna cost, say, I don't know, I'm just gonna pick $25,000 to do it, well, we keep 40, just to make sure we stay on top of it, and then we get beyond the year, so that's the best way that's the best I can offer to you, but we've never done this before, so, it's up to you and up to us, all decide to try to do something that is, but cash is king. I hate dealing with bond companies, because bond companies, a lot of times, they don't wanna pay anybody money, and there's a big fight. So, to get things done more quickly, this is the best way to do it. Secondly, bonding usually goes along with a company that's gonna do the work. A developer that does the work is known, and if you're unknown, you're doing it for the first time, the cost for bonding is gonna go, much higher. So the best thing to do for you is to do like you're doing, is put the cash up front, we maintain the value at 5.25 if we have to pick up the pieces, but when, as soon as you get down below that, then we start reimbursing us and giving you back the money to pay down, to start paying against that money you have for, what's the word, to the contractor. So I know that's what you're looking for, is getting that cash back in your pocket as soon as you can.
Yeah, I think just rationally, it's inappropriate for the town to hold cost plus $150,000 for 16 months.
No. I think-
But that's not what
No,
anybody's
no,
saying.
No,
That is the way it's written
I
right
think
now.
at the end of the day, and your engineer and our engineer can come up with a number, but I think at the end of the day, all the town is gonna say is, we're gonna hold until the top coat is down, probably the landscaping money and the top coat money, and that's it. And I'm sure we can agree on a number, whatever that is, plus whatever the, inflation is, projected
Mhm.
inflation. That's a reasonable thing, so.
Agreed. Joe and Paul, have you guys?
Yeah, I do have a couple questions. Dennis, you say, you talk about picking up the pieces. I guess I'm kind of confused. This is a private road at the moment. I was under the impression, maybe mistakenly, that at any point during this road being constructed, we could pull the plug and say we don't wanna do it anymore. Why couldn't we do that?
Don't wanna build a road anymore?
Right,
Well, you still have to remediate the land, no matter what.
why do we have to remediate the land? If we decide we just wanna have we're not gonna sell any land, why can't we back away from it? I mean, I can understand if it's a public road, I just think where it's a private road, like you alluded to, there's some special circumstances there in that all the abutters that road will affect, except for Dennis, they're all family. And we know exactly what we're trying to do there, is build a house for Scott, so that he can build a house here. That's our main objective. We would have just used the driveway and would have gone through all this, but we couldn't. So we decided we might as well split up the land amongst the kids now. And it just seems like, I see the town slowly slipping into like our agent. I'm not sure the town, I don't understand why the town would wanna do that. In other words, if we don't like the way the contractor's building the road, and we tell them we're not happy with it, we want it done, and you've got the money to pay him, who determines whether he gets paid or not? Us or the town? And if the town pays him, or if the town doesn't pay him, because the town engineer doesn't approve of what's happened so far, then does he sue us or does he sue the town? Who makes the determination when the contractor gets paid and whether the work has been done to satisfaction?
So, Joe, the town's gonna have nothing to do with you paying the contractor, that's between you and the contractor. All you care about is the town inspecting the work and saying, yep, it's done, it was done in accordance with the plans. In this case, it will be Altus Engineering, they'll recommend a release of X number of dollars, the selectmen will say, yeah, we agree, the money will go right back to you. And I think it's I've never been through it before since I've been here, but I'm assuming it's a relatively quick process, you guys meet every week, so that's how it would work. You asked a bizarre question, what happens if you hire this contractor, you get halfway done and you decide not to go for it? It's something I've never run across, so I don't know.
I never.
Well,
I don't know.
you said, you've never
Yeah.
run across this problem in town before.
No,
So,
I
mean,
don't
there's a
know.
lot of things that are new here.
I mean, I guess, it's a good question, and I don't know the answer. We're now recording a plan that shows lots coming off of a right of way. I mean, those lots would all go away.
Yeah.
It's a.
Well, wait, once it's registered at the Register of Deeds,
Well, we have to take an action to revoke the approval.
so then we wind up with a lawsuit because people are saying, wait a minute, we've got the lots, we don't wanna give that up.
Well, this is
already
the
approved.
thing.
Except that there wouldn't be anybody has to.
Right. So
I understand what you're saying, I'm just saying, this is different, it's new. I think what, the circumstances are different. This is a small town, I think we gotta teach each, we gotta look at each one differently, independently. The question I have, is this money now put in an interest-bearing escrow account?
it's in an escrow account, there's probably not a whole lot of interest.
Not a whole lot of insurance,
But yes, it is an interest-bearing
Right.
account, yes, but I mean, you're not gonna buy a car with interest, it's pretty low.
Right.
So, yeah, but yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay,
And again, Joe, it wouldn't matter, because I'm assuming, I know like Brandon has mentioned a couple of names of the road contractors you're considering using. I can't, I mean, and I have not talked to them, but I'm assuming this is a 2-month project, Brandon?
Yeah,
I mean, so you're gonna, this money's not gonna sit in the town's coffers for very long.
yes, and I think I understand where you're coming from and the point you made. The way that the approval's written right now is that we give the engineer's opinion of cost and the balance gets refunded to us at completion of the road, which would mean after top coat. That's what I'm here talking about. So when you say, hey, you just pay the $375 and draw it down as that happens, well, okay, that's a nice proposal, but that's not what I'm expected to do that the Board of Selectmen are meeting on right now. That's the,
Oh, so what I was proposing to do, and I did see Bob nod his head, but let me just explain it again. Whatever the amount is that the selectmen agree to accept from you all, let's just say it's $375. I would still use the RS means, values to draw that money down. So you're not gonna get anything until you get below $375. And then when the road is done through binder, which is gonna be, what, 7 weeks, 8 weeks?
yep.
Then the selectmen could say, what we're gonna hold is the top coat and the landscaping I can't remember what the condition says, 16
months, yeah.
16 months. And so they'll hold that, and that's gonna be an easy number to come up with, right? You know, I mean, I think you have,
It's
it's
listed on there.
$500 a tree, and it's, I think is what we had in there, or you had in there, plus the top coat, plus inflation. You know, for the top coat, the trees aren't gonna be inflated, but the top coat is, you know, and then that will be held for the 16-month period until you pave it.
Yeah,
Is that, I mean, that's what I was advocating.
yeah, I think,
I don't know if that makes sense.
I agree with that.
And that's what I mentioned to John, I think that's what we should do, I suggested it, I think that's something we should do, and,
Okay.
we've never done it before, but I think this is probably the best solution that I can come up with that will still protect the town. And you're not gonna stop at the first 25%, it's probably gonna happen more towards the middle or the end or something like that.
Right. So, gotcha. Okay.
Well, if you're happy.
Yeah.
I let Brandon go, I haven't got the patience for this. So,
Brandon,
I said, Brandon, if you've got the energy for a young guy to do it, take a crack at it.
All right.
Well, and there are, Joe, just so you know, and I know that you guys have other business, but there are towns that do allow private roads. Newington doesn't, and nor do, I would say 90% of the towns in New Hampshire don't, because what happens is inevitably, roads get built to a lesser standard, and then there's 10 or 15 houses on them, and 10 years later, they're like, we're sick and tired of plowing these things. They go to the town to ask the town to accept them, and they feel sorry for them, and the town ends up accepting a substandard road. So if this wants to be a private road forever, that's fine, but it's gonna be built to town standard.
We
And
can't,
it is.
but that's not.
Yeah,
Would you-
right,
no,
agree.
right. And
This
if
is
you don't
the
want-
answer.
and if you
I
don't
mean,
want-
we're gonna handle a
Yeah,
75-foot tractor trailer
Yeah,
truck down.
right, well, we are gonna test that, all right, and I'll drive,
It
and
has
I'll
to,
drive.
to your point though, John, it has to pass inspection, it's been
Yeah,
designed
yeah.
to.
And if you guys don't wanna ask the town to accept it, hallelujah, you know, that's your call.
Okay,
It's gonna be an overrun for the runway out there.
so, okay, that's good. The only other two things I was asking for in my email that I think you guys both saw was the fact that there's a couple line items that are added into the engineer's opinion of cost that don't relate to the project any longer. The one that I sent Martha along, the proof of payment for the Eversource underground construction of the power lines, which they have built into the engineers, but it's already been paid to Eversource.
By the way, as far as the underground goes, what they tell me, the formula they use, they look at what it costs to put above ground, and then the cost to put underground, which is a little bit higher, but especially if you're doing the conduit, you only pay the difference. And I don't know, that's what they told us years ago, that's how they operate.
Yeah, it's already, it's been paid for since October.
All right.
So that is a complete project as far as we're concerned right now. So that's, but to John's point, after 8 weeks and the road's substantially complete and it's got binders just waiting on top coat and bonding for the landscaping, at that point, you'd return the electric to me anyways, because it's complete. So,
Absolutely. Well, they would, we're not giving it.
well, debatable today.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they wish to add, or?
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say to Brandon, just in trying to work with them so they could start their project, was that they still haven't got the finalized guarantee from Portsmouth that they're gonna hook on to the existing line that's there. And I think we've got everything in place, and Brandon seemed to agree with it, that they can't sell new lots, number one, and that number two, that in no way can anyone turn around and hold the town liable. So he was gonna have a letter from his attorneys releasing the town of any liability concerning lots. In other words, in the future, if someone said, well, we got these lots, we got this road, but we still haven't got the water connection, and why did the town let them go ahead and start a building permit without having that had? So to move things along, not to hold things up, but the other way would say, no permit until you have a permit until you have a connection for the water. We want a letter from you, and he said his guy was attorney, worked with Radigan to get that to us, and when I was making another exception here again to allow him to proceed with the construction without an agreement in place for the water line. I believe he's gonna get the water line, I believe Portsmouth is gonna hook him up, and I think he's trying to do everything he can to resolve it. But again, I think we have everything in place to make sure that that doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden, we get sued for any kind of liability because he can't sell the lots. And we give a permit to build a road.
Dennis is doing a really good job protecting the town's interests, okay, as he usually does. It simply doesn't apply to this project, but that's for you guys to decide. No, there's no lots getting sold anyways, and no, we wouldn't sell a lot, claiming it's buildable with water and sewer and everything else when it doesn't, and doesn't have the ability to be on sewer, it's the same thing. So, if there's something that the board needs that we can supply in that regard, that's fine. If not, it just doesn't apply to this situation. But, to Dennis's point, he is solely protecting the interests of the town in this. Which
Dennis, you
gotta
mentioned
respect.
Radigan's name.
That's how I get.
You mentioned Radigan's name.
Yeah, I
Is that
asked,
your attorney also, Brandon?
No, sir, no, he's hot
Just
Phoenix.
wanted- Yeah, I didn't think so, but.
no, I spoke with Brandon, and I asked Brandon if he could just get that, it says half a paragraph that is written up that the town would not be held liable should they not make the connection, not able to make that water connection. That's the only thing, because we have issued him a permit, and once you get a permit for something, if you don't have the conditions written down correctly, it could be, well, wait a minute, you promised us water, or it could be viewed by the courts that we promised them water, or we issued them a permit. I don't wanna get in the middle of it, I just wanna make sure that we're held not responsible for it. In
Understand
lieu
that.
of, and he wants to start construction now.
Understand.
So Brandon, the engineer's opinion of cost for the road is $516,
Correct.
but you, and you said 376 is,
My contractor's price.
that's what your contract said, so the difference, the 150,
Well, no, Bob, because I think Brandon mentioned that he's already, there's a line item in the RS means, for utilities, he's already paid that, and I think he paid something else. So that gets deducted from the 516, and I don't have that in front of me. So
That's a
it's,
36,009.
Yes, sir.
so now we're down to what, 480, I didn't do well in math,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range, and I think there's something else that you said should be deducted.
Landscaping costs.
Landscaping costs was asked for, because that's gonna be transplanted as approved by the Conservation
That
Commission.
shouldn't be in there either. Now I look at about 468. I do very well with math. So what are we gonna bond you at, 468? Is that what you're asking?
I think I was asking for the 376.9, that's the quote, and it wouldn't be returned to Acrely Arsenal until until we had gone below that threshold.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we bond him for the 370, let's just say 377. And as John said, we don't start reducing the bond until they go below that 377 threshold.
From the RS means.
By the
From the RS.
construction schedule. And those are with the recommendations of our town planner.
I'll second the discussion.
Further discussion?
I just want to make sure that the board gets the input of the building inspector regarding giving out building permits prior to a water line
So, just,
being installed.
there was some stuff bantered around that wasn't quite accurate, that no lots could be sold. We knew there never was gonna be any lots, so we said transferred. So Joe can't transfer them to Brandon or to Mandy or anybody else. there are 2 lots that are buildable today. The one next to Manny's house, cause that has frontage on, Fox Point Road, and Scott's lot, because it's an existing lot of record. If I have it right, I think it's lots 2 and 4.
1 and 4.
1 and 4. It's lots 1 and 4 that cannot be transferred.
Oh, I'm sorry, that cannot be transferred is 3 and 4.
3 and 4, because those need the new utilities on the new road. Scott's lot stands alone, Scott's house stands alone, because it has pre-existing utilities, and we knew that from day one. The one to the right of Manny's house, right, left of you? Right of
Right.
Manny's house, it has frontage on Fox Point. So it's lots 2 and 4, 3 and 4, yes, that cannot be issued building permits, nor can they be transferred until the road is done and the utilities are in.
They don't have potable water, do they?
No.
And I don't think
Scott's
we need,
does.
we don't need his opinion on that, we can just tell him that.
Yeah, Bob lived through the conditions of approval, which were exhaustive, so that's all noted in the planning board's conditions of approval, which were written by another attorney.
So
Thank you.
Scott can build.
Scott can build today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott can build today.
Right.
Existing.
Right, he has water lines, got electric power there,
Yeah.
which is being changed over.
So you sure you're agreeable to us sliding it down when we get to a certain number, so the loan is reduced a little bit, but you know it's gonna be, what, maybe 16 months before you get the final coat down on the main road?
Yes, sir.
Because you know you have to deal with the winters and the year, because if you don't, you're crazy not to do it that way.
And that's perfectly fine. Yes,
Okay.
we do understand that,
Yeah.
that I appreciate the board and Dennis and John coming together on it. That's our responsibility, to
Mhm.
pay for that top coat and make sure that, maintenance, whatever it is.
Right.
We don't mind you guys holding that money, it was just the excess of it. So whatever the
Yeah.
RS means are for the top coat, we're happy to have the town hold an escrow.
One other question, what is the width of the road gonna be when you,
About 29 feet wide.
okay?
Yeah.
So it's well.
Right, guys? Is that the ordinance?
No,
18 feet.
That's right.
18 feet of asphalt,
Okay, because normally it's 22 feet is the normal
Normally
for the town
22.
requirements?
correct.
So how's that's gonna come down to the selectmen accepting it on,
They don't. That was discussed during the meeting, and they would have to bring it up to standard.
okay, that's what I'm saying, because this could be a problem down the line for another select board to deal with, because if it's 18 feet and it's 22 feet is what the town recommends, and that's what we go with, then it becomes a problem for the town selectmen to approve the town accepting it. That would be my concern.
So here's the thing that could happen. Someone
Yeah.
could put in a petition to the town, a citizen's petition to accept it,
Right,
the way it is.
right,
And if the town votes on it, yes.
Yeah.
Guess what?
right,
We got it.
right. So you can do circumvent it that way, I understand it.
Yeah, it's,
I just wanted it on the record so everybody heard that, so you know that's what the situation is like.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Ted, I'm just gonna ask you for one more thing, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, is that letter from the attorney, releasing the town of any liability should they not be able to get that connection for the water in the future, anytime in the future. Things can go bad.
You wanna add that to your motion? I'll
Sure,
second
we'll
it.
add that to our motion.
It's a simple thing, it's an hour's.
I'll
Second
second that.
motion?
Well, I'll make the second motion. that
Second motion.
We had
Seconded.
we had a letter
I have
from
to
our
finish it.
attorney,
Yeah,
releasing the town from any liability.
I seconded it.
Okay,
All in favor?
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye,
Opposed?
Thank you.
thank you.
If no connection of water and electric?
No, just water.
Just
Just
water.
water.
Yeah, the waters are still in limbo.
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Just a new problem.
And all he wants to do is just get started with construction.
I
That's
just need the words.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much, board.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Eleanor.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mark.
No problem.
Gentlemen.
Okay, old business. Where you from? Go, how you doing?
Good.
Halloween, whatever.
Okay.
That was it.
It's a long time around, haven't seen you.
Too long.
Oh,
today or tomorrow?
kids, and thinking about.
We got all business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
But I'm ready anytime.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, move on.
Do you
Old
want a
business,
minute or are you
Martha?
still?
No,
I'm sorry.
no old business?
No old business.
Okay, new business. The 22 vision and goals. That's a good list, Matt. I like it very much.
And Selectman Marconi had one more to add to this list, which I didn't get on, I apologize. Solar. So we've been talking about possibly having a solar field, either at the transfer station or a solar bank on top of the town hall.
I'd like to see some progress, going towards looking into it, Bob. I think seriously, the town look into this, a lot of other towns are doing it, and it would save the town and taxpayers some money in the long run. So I thought maybe we should just put it on our possible to-do list.
I agree to looking into it.
Yeah.
I don't agree that it might save the town some money. I think it might cost the town some money. I personally looked into it for my home,
I did too,
and it was not worth my while.
that's right.
So, but I do agree with you, we should look into it, and I know there's been several citizens in town that approached me, and I've asked them to get involved. I said, you know, don't just bring something up and present an idea, you know,
Bring a
come
plan.
forward and help us with
Bring a
it,
plan.
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's look at that, but, you know, there's a beautiful roof structure right across the street that we're looking at, but I don't wanna touch that until we decide what we're gonna do over there. There's a beautiful roof up above us, same
Right.
thing. But I also wanna make sure that whatever we do solar-wise,
Yeah.
we conform with our own ordinances as well, even though I know the town doesn't have to conform to our ordinances,
Correct,
I think we should.
correct. But you agree that we should look into it?
We should.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we approve the vision.
I second that. I think, did you make the motion?
I will if you want.
Did you?
I'll make the motion.
All right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You got that all?
You don't know who motioned and who seconded, but we all
Ellen
agreed.
always figures out.
Bob made the motion, I seconded it, Ted said let's move along.
Soil budget revision of $1,292,491 for review and approval. I think the soil department went back after the last budget meeting and came back with some good ideas. Had a good drop in,
Did they, what was this, a reduction in their, what were they calling it, their rainy day fund, or?
I don't know what the hell, it was,
It was like $77,000
Yeah.
and they cut out of their budget. I don't think it had anything to do with the rainy day.
Okay,
But I don't specifically know what they changed in their budget to get.
but they reduced it by 77,000?
Right.
That's my memory, yes.
Okay.
and reduction to the,
Do you want a motion, Mr. Chairman?
please,
So moved.
Seconded.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jill Boynton resignation. Jill has, I worked with her on the EDC, she worked very, very diligent on it, and now she's running for,
Trustee?
trustee, and that's her background is finance, insurances, and investing. I just think we should send her a letter of thank you for
Absolutely.
being and participating in further. All right, is there a motion made?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Treasurer's investment policy.
The board has the proposed policy from the treasurer for your review.
They review the funds. The three big funds. The general fund, the store account, and the conservation. They don't review the, trustee funds. That's all a separate,
Right.
that went out to,
Right.
just wanna be, that's what I thought, thank you.
And the escrow funds, the planning board escrow funds are
Okay.
handled by
Right.
our treasurer too.
All the other funds we have control over, that we don't. Okay.
Okay, the motion,
So moved.
seconded,
Seconded.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Then
When do you
we'll
want us
vote.
to sign, Mark? Are we supposed to sign one of these, or?
I've got one in the back.
You've got the master?
Thank you, yeah.
All right.
Okay,
The gate update. Are we gonna have a gate?
the problem is, and I think the sign probably help, people just don't have patience, they don't stop afterwards to close the gate, and it's a little bit of a delay. You stop putting on, I think, my neighbor's valid point, start putting the automatic gate in there.
You're in
We'll
trouble.
be banging them up, or we'll be fixing cars that we hit with the gate. We did that before, I think.
Just be patient.
Well, if people try to sneak through that gate, it's their own fault. I don't think we should fix anybody's car.
Oh,
But I do agree with you that people should close the gate after they go through the gate.
no.
But
And maybe the new,
you can't make people do what's the right thing.
You got a question, Mr. Chairman?
you do? Oh, sorry, I didn't see that.
Can you paint instructions on the road? Stop here, you know, wait, go through, please close gate, write words on the road, like oftentimes in a school district, words are written on a road. Is that helpful or no?
We can look at that in the spring, I think.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
wagon.
but
Because if you tell people, stop here, you know, wait, please close gate after access. And if you did it on both sides and people saw it, to slow them down, if they're reading words on the pavement, it is automatically slowing them down from moving the car forward. And telling them what to do. That's the housewife opinion. Simple.
We can review that in spring. Okay?
Does someone else run into the gate again?
No.
Oh.
no, we got complaints about people not closing it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't wanna put an automatic on it, Dennis.
I move to,
Guy specifically said it was like a green Honda pickup truck looking thing, does it all the time.
Yeah, I heard that.
no question.
He just got it.
Here's the
I
petition.
wasn't really paying attention.
No, electrical engineer.
You're
he
shaking,
just
you were
got it.
asleep over there, Dennis, you have to do that,
I was just checking if you were awake.
that's all.
Okay, then the last thing is, call coverage and drop calls.
What is that about, Mark?
The Seacoast Economic Development Directors met, and there have been some concerns with businesses having a problem with dropped cell phones across the area. And so they agreed to all go back to their communities and check and see if there were issues, and the fire department has written a memo about problems that they run into, down in the business section and industrial. So those are going back to the, Seacoast directors, and they're going to file a complaint with specific companies about all of the areas as a group.
Right,
try to
there's more
get
power that
momentum
way,
on that.
absolutely, that makes sense to me.
And Paul is heading it up, and
Yes,
he's very thorough.
Oh,
to Shane.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If anybody can move, he can do it.
Right.
Peter Shaker.
I know, I have, a woman lives at the end of my street. We see her parked at the end of Hannah Lane all the time on her phone, cause she gets no cell coverage at her house.
No
So
kidding.
she drives in her car down to the end of the street and talks on the phone, and
Why don't you invite her in?
well, she doesn't want to come in. But, yeah, there are dead spots in town,
Oh, yeah.
and the easier we document them and get them forwarded to Paul, the quicker we can try to
You
get them
got a cell
resolved.
tower right back at Dennis's house.
Yeah, I gotta say, you wouldn't believe the number of cell services we have around antennas. But the problem is that they're targeting the Spalding Turnpike. They don't care so much because there's no big money return on the residential area in Newington. But there's also someone that's coming in, we don't quite understand it. John said he got a call the other day that down by the Alice moving area,
Yeah.
they're talking about putting in what they call something Wi-Fi. It's basically a long-range Wi-Fi that would work for that entire region over there, but I don't think it's gonna do anything for us here. It's just that the companies, if they wanna put their money into it, they don't want low usage, and the residential area is low usage. And it's unfortunate, we've done everything we can, every time they come before the planning board to get them to do it. It's gotten better over the years, but not a lot.
Yeah, we discussed it many times on the planning board, I know we have.
And one of the things I did, I just said, to heck with it. I went out and bought a booster for my house and just put it in. If you want that, the best way to go is go Wi-Fi enabled. If you have Wi-Fi in your house, you can talk to your Wi-Fi with your phone, that's the best way to go.
Right.
Okay, anything else, Madam?
The last thing I have for you is the HDC warrant article. It currently states that the Historic District Commission would be the agents to expend, and and traditionally, the selectmen have been the agent, so I just wanted to ask how you would like to proceed on that.
I think we.
I would like the warrant article rewritten to reflect that the selectmen ought to be,
Yes.
According to RSA, whatever, you wanna add that to it or not? It's up to you. The RSA said that we're responsible for fund spending in town.
look up the correct RSA and make sure that's added
I'll
to that,
second that,
Martha.
if you wanna make a motion, I'll second that.
Yeah, consider mine the motion.
And I'll second.
Discussion, all in favor, vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Anything else?
that's it.
Eleanor, what do you got on your agenda?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Not
She
just
loves
this.
all the snow she
Did I
got.
see something about about using the auditorium on the 11th and 12th of April?
Yeah, the police training.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that clashes with the planning board meeting on the 11th.
They'll be out by 5 o'clock.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
They'll put it back.
The last time they wanted to leave everything where it was, we couldn't touch a thing because they left all their books
Right.
there, they left everything there. So,
I'll call them and make sure.
or we can make other arrangements, I just need to know. That's all.
Just tell them too, they gotta leave the door open at least for a half hour and get all the smell of cop out of the room before.
There
we
you
go.
go. That's a bad smell too.
I know that smell.
yeah. All set, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all, we're done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen. Thank you, Alma.
Look at it. Still
Dennis,
there.
very astute of you to look forward all the way to April 11th for,
Right.
Well, I happened to see it on the agenda, but I said, I think that's, those dates is. It says it's the second and fourth.
oh, hey,
Second and fourth
I've
Monday
got
this
some
week.
pictures, I've got some pictures too, I wanna show you.
Yeah, I'm
the
gonna see
airport
John.
photo.
Oh, okay.
They send a picture of the plane all signed?
They did, but they're also willing to,
Mount it.
they're also, if we ask for them,
They probably will.